One top tip for Stay and Scream: aim to be in the park by around 3:30 PM so you can collect your wristband and get into a horror house queue line, which will be open to join from around about 4 PM, possibly earlier. Okay, buckle up and let's fly through your ultimate Halloween Horror Nights game plan. The aim of this video is to help you do all 10 horror houses and all the scare zones and try some of the food all in one night. Once you're in the park and you've passed under the Halloween Horror Nights entrance, you'll head through the Origins of Horror Scare Zone. Everything will be covered until the event kicks off, so we'll return to see the demonic characters, chainsaw wielding artists and creepy carvings later on. Oh, and don't miss the photo op with the gruesome gargoyle when you do come back. Near the end of the Origins of Horror Scare Zone, as you enter Minion Land, you'll pass the first horror house entry point on the left just before Minion Mayhem. That entry point gives access to Five Nights at Freddy's, Terrifier, Grave of Flesh and the Horrors of the White Six. But you can't head down there just yet, go and grab your wristband first. A little further up on the right hand side, you'll see the first wristband collection point near the shop and ride exit for VillainCon Minion Blast. Join the queue line and grab your wristband. If it's really busy, go a little further up and there's another collection point at the Minion Cafe. The queue line entrance for that is just behind the Popanana popcorn kiosk. The staff member will scan your HHN ticket, then another will attach that night's coloured wristband to your wrist and you're good to go. Or in this case, good to stay and scream. You'll see some of the food kiosks which may now be open, but resist the temptation for that foot-long mozzarella stick for now. Go back to the first horror house entry point you passed on the way in and go and join the line for Five Nights at Freddy's. Every night when I went, this was the most popular house, sometimes with a wait time of up to 180 minutes. So my advice, do this house first and you'll be through it and in the next house line before the event officially opens at 6:30 PM, which will kickstart your night spectacularly. Five Nights at Freddy's is a highly immersive house with superb animatronics, scare actors and props, but on a scare scale I would rank it 3 out of 10 for fear factor because it's not particularly scary, but it's a must do if you love the game or the movie. Okay, so that's the most popular house done and it's only about 6 PM, and conveniently the next most popular house is in the same area, so head straight over for the Terrifier once you've done Five Nights at Freddy's and do that house next. Again, this house peaked at around 120 minutes wait time during my visits, but I'd expect you to be through the Terrifier house within about an hour at this time, as the event's still not open fully and the initial Stay and Scream rush for the Terrifier house will be done already. Terrifier is indeed true to expectations. It's not overly bloody and gruesome, but it also does not disappoint. It was my joint favourite house along with Jason Universe. On a scare scale, I would give it 9 out of 10 for fear factor, because it did actually make me jump and very few do. So having done Art the Clown's house, it's around 7 PM and we've done the 2 most popular houses already. While you're in the area, you could do Grave of Flesh if it's 60 minutes or less, as it will drop to less than this at some point during the evening. Grave of Flesh is one of the better Universal original horror houses along with Hatchet in Chains. On the scare scale, I would give Grave of Flesh 6 out of 10 for fear factor, as it has a creepy demonic vibe, with great audio accompanied by good visual effects and even unpleasant smells to immerse you in a deathly nightmare. Well, it's going on 8 PM by now. The Horrors of the White Six never had a wait time over 35 minutes during my visits, and the same for El Artista of Spanish Haunting, which was generally less than an hour, so we'll hit those later as the wait times will be shorter after midnight and they're on the way back out towards the park exit. The event has been fully open now for around 90 minutes, so the horror house wait times will have increased considerably, which makes this a great time to explore the scare zones and grab a bite to eat before everybody has the same idea. The food stands do get really busy and you don't want to waste 45 minutes in a queue line to get food. If you head over to Central Park area, you'll find some themed food and beverage kiosks selling everything from giant mozzarella sticks to foot-long corn dogs, Voltec deviled eggs and even Art the Clown cookies. Or if you're a Five Nights at Freddy's fan, you can head over to Louis' Italian restaurant, which has a Five Nights at Freddy's menu and photo op. You can enjoy a huge slice of pizza with a spaghetti and meatballs topping, followed by a giant Five Nights at Freddy's cupcake. It's big, so it's definitely a sharer for sure. While you're enjoying your snack or after your visit to Five Nights at Freddy's, you can wander through the Mutations Toxic 20 scare zone in the New York area of the park. Look out for gangsters, flappers, bank robbers and all manner of mutated 1920s characters. It's prohibition and the bootleggers and cops are on the streets. Grab a selfie with a radioactive mutant, but best behaviour or you might get interrogated by a mutant cop. Once you've escaped mutant-infested New York, on the left just before the Fast and the Furious is the Jason Universe house. If the wait time's around 60 minutes, which it should be by now, jump in the queue line and get this house done. It's well worth it in my view. It's on a par with the Terrifier house, so I'd rank this on the scare scale a 9 out of 10 for fear factor. It's immersive, creepy, and has lots of Jason jump scares. Another house definitely not to miss. It's probably going on 9:30 by the time you get out of Jason. Now it's tempting to carry on around the park clockwise, but we're not going to do that. We're going to about turn and walk along the lakeside towards Transformers, past the Halloween Horror Nights bar where you can grab a selfie with El Artista himself, or even a scary doll. Then we'll come up to Mel's Dime where we can grab a selfie with a mutant car hop and get a picture of Mel's dying all lit up at night. Then we're going to take a left and enter the Cat Lady of Crooked Lane scare zone. It's creepy, immersive, and full of trick-or-treaters, transformed cat people, and all those mutant failed experiments of the Cat Lady. Then at the end of the Crooked Lane is the Cat Lady's cottage, where if you're lucky you might catch a glimpse of her transforming her victims from trick-or-treaters into feral mutant cats, or as she likes to call them, her fur babies. You're going to take a left as you get to the Cat Lady's cottage and head towards Springfield, where you'll pass another food kiosk called Plastico, offering a range of dolls and Let's Play Dead themed delights. A little further up on the right hand side, near the Quickie Mart, you'll come to the next house we're doing, Hatchet and Chain's Demon Bounty Hunters. That's the one. This house is in my view one of the best Universal Original Creation houses this year. I would give it 6 out of 10 on the scare scale for fear factor. It's a little gory, gruesome and western themed. With a few jumps along the way, I would expect the wait to be around 45 minutes, so you'll be through it by around 10:30 PM. Then you can head through Springfield. Just near the Men in Black gift shop you'll find the Dolls Let's Play Dead house. This house is okay if you're on schedule. I'd give it about a 3 out of 10 on the scare scale for fear factor. It's just not as expected, has a few jumps but nothing really memorable. In my book, unless it's a personal must do, this house is definitely skippable, and you can save an hour if you need to. Now don't go back over the bridge or you'll miss the Fallout and Gulkin houses. Carry on past the Men in Black gift store and you'll come up to a single entrance on your right hand side leading to the Backlot for Gulkin, Monsters of the North and the Fallout houses. Fallout, similar to Five Nights at Freddy's, it's not particularly scary, so it's a 3 out of 10 for fear factor on the scare scale. But it's highly immersive, the props and the settings are excellent, and it's a must do for any Fallout fans. Gulkin Monsters of the North is again one I would say you can skip if you're short on time, but if not and you do it, I'd give it a 5 out of 10 for fear factor on the scare scale. It's a little jumpy here and there with a couple of eerie creatures and scare actors, and keep a lookout for the big demon at the end. So it's probably around midnight by now, and hopefully we've done 8 out of the 10 houses, so we're going to push on past the Circus of Decay as you head towards Diagon Alley, where if you briefly pop in to visit Nocturne Alley just because it's creepy and Halloweeny, then walk around Diagon Alley, it's likely you'll run into a Death Eater horde or even a show on the stage. Okay, so we're nearly there. Carry on towards the New York area of the park and you'll pass through Club Horror, where you can grab a tasty themed beverage if you like and boogie your way through the crowd, or maybe grab a selfie with a podium dancer. The midnight showing of the Waterlight show, Hauntophonic A Ghoulish Journey, will be showing over the lake, which you can check out as you head back towards El Artista A Spanish Haunting and the Horrors of the White Six. Jump into El Artista A Spanish Haunting, which will probably have a wait time of around 45 minutes, so you'll be through that house by 12:30 to 1 AM. I give it a 6 out of 10 for fear factor on the scare scale. It's eerie, a little creepy and jumpy here and there, but it's also the main themed origin house, so it's got to be done. Then, heading towards the exit, you can check out the Origins of Horror Scare Zone. You can get a selfie with the Art the Clown carving and a scare actor gargoyle as well. Then you can about turn and walk back through the scare zone on the other side, and then take a right just past the Art the Clown carving to the Hollywood area to check out the last scare zone, Masquerade Dance with Death. Here you can get a selfie with a scary vampire, watch the scare actors' elegant dances before they devour each other, or watch the seductive vampires feasting on their victims. You'll have to double back through that scare zone to head to the Horrors of the White Six, but hey, it's vampires, so why not? You should get to the Horrors of the White Six by around 1:30 AM, which is just enough time to get in and do house number 10. Remember, Universal will let you into the house as long as you're in the queue line before 2 AM. Okay, let's take a breath. Congratulations, you've done all the houses in one night, tried the food and explored the scare zones. If you want to do the Circus of Decay show, it'll likely be at the cost of a couple of houses. My skippable houses are Dolls Let's Play Dead Golden Monsters of the North and Grave of Flesh. Don't get me wrong, they're worth doing if you're on schedule and you've got plenty of time, but if you're running short of time or you want to do alternative things instead, skip those 3 houses because you won't be missing too much. But hey, perhaps there's a couple you're happy to skip to do the show anyway, so you can just tweak the game plan however you need to. Either way, it's a template for success and worked for me. I'm going to leave you now. Enjoy your time at Halloween Horror Nights Orlando. Feel free to leave any comments or questions below and subscribe for future videos and updates on all things Universal. Happy Halloween and stay spooky, people.